million cycles per second, the curve on the increase in the amount of magnetic and electrical field there is doing this. And when it does this, and you capture it at one of the higher points, you capture it at a higher point, you get a lot more energy from the same amount of electrons than you had at the lower point.
Okay.
So this, to some people, would be would say that you're getting free energy.
What would you call it?
I would say you're getting what's there.
Just finding a new way to
you're getting what's there. The term free energy is a bastardized terminology that's used by Sour Grapes establishment.
Use terms of the alternative.
Okay, they're all basically the same thing. They're ether, ether, atmosphere, air, or whatever. They're all describing the same thing, and it's a hula hoop mentality. It's whoever happens to be writing the book or talking at the time, and they're grasping at something which they don't really understand.
Magnetically.
Okay, in the 1920s, people discovered that in studying the Earth's crust, that it had electrical characteristics. And most people consider that the Earth's electrical field is useless or near zero. But when you actually look into it, you find that the Earth has an enormous electrical charge on it. It's just that it's everywhere about you. It doesn't vary in a short distance. So all of the instruments that are made to measure electricity are made to measure a reference point and another point. So the electrical flux, when you start measuring electrical flux or magnetic flux, which is the other side of the coin, you find that the Earth has an enormous electrical field. No, I had the conclusion before I ever started. It was what got me into it to begin with.
Really? So this is sort of what keyed you into what was going on.
Yeah, I knew that there was an electromagnetic. You can't have one without the other, and it flips. And when it flips, at that flipping point is where you have your useful energy. And the more you flip it, the more you have useful energy.
Does this have anything to do with the planet running at 8 hertz or anything like that?
Well, the death frequency is 7 cycles per second. So the Earth is, depending on who you talk to, has a frequency of around 7 or 8 cycles per second.
Yeah.
And that's consistent. Now, if you built a device that would capture that, you would have an energy level, but it would be very low because you're not flipping the electrons that much. Now, in the other Earth's electrical systems, there are a number of them running all at one time. You have the ionized layers that are up above. They're one side of a capacitor. The Earth's crust or surface is one side of a capacitor. So you have an enormous electrical potential between the ionized layers and the Earth's surface, and you have an exact duplicate of it in the Earth's surface, because in a capacitor, one plate has to equal the other one, or else you've got discharges between them. And it's the turbulence in the atmosphere that disturbs this balance, that where you get your lightning and other electrical disturbances. So the lightning is over unity in itself. Ambient or earth ground is unity, and anything that you see other than that is over unity. So that means that lightning is over unity. Okay, everything in nature. And everything in nature is, of course, simple. So all the other things, including molecules and everything else, they all attach themselves to each other. So in the case of electrons, it's unreal to believe that a single electron will be floating out here without interacting with something else. So as it turns out, there's good evidence that some electrons have more negative charge than others, and that by being more negative or less negative, that's the same as being plus or minus. So therefore, the electron with a weaker charge will attract one with a stronger charge, and they will be orbiting in each other, and they're relatively easy to pull apart. So the electrical and magnetic charge of the electron, of course, when you spin them right, you get a magnetic field. When you spin them left, you get an electrical field.
Okay.
So when they spin apart, you're getting a benefit of both of those, and then whenever they come spinning back together, you're getting the volts and the magnetic field coupling again, which means your amps times volts equal watts, or you've got useful energy. Well, actually, this thing remakes the entire world of energy. It's a very simple supposition, and when put in force, it creates a world in which there's no pollution. It creates a world in which there are no not-haves. Mm-hmm. All of the political systems are on equal standing, so you don't have a reason for war. So that saves a lot of lives, and it also puts ozone back, or oxygen back, into a useful form, which also will save a lot of lives. Okay, this is the state of Colorado.
Okay.
And the colors on the map represent levels of electromagnetic energy.
Okay.
And you can see there's quite a diversity.
Okay, now what are all these colors here?
Okay, the dark blues are extremely negative. The reds are the lower ranges of negativity. The contour lines on there, each contour represents about 5,000 volts difference in the electrical field.
So what would this be used for normally? Why would somebody take a
These were originally used by the United States government in looking for radioactive materials during the Cold War.
Now, how did you come up with the idea of looking for these?
Well, they have been used for locating oil and gas deposits since 1920.
Okay.
They've been used since 1920 for locating oil and gas deposits.
Okay, now, why do you use them? What are you looking for with these maps?
Why would I normally use them?
Yeah, I mean, what would you be looking for?
Basically, about 10 years ago, I had reached a level in the petroleum industry where my salary was too much, and I had too much experience, and the people that were in the company all had less, and they felt uncomfortable around me. So suddenly one day I found myself without a job. This has to do with the frequencies which things move at whenever you get into resonant energy. Resonant just simply means that you're flipping the electrons. And this is the electromagnetic chart that was worked up by Westinghouse. And can be purchased through the Edmunds Scientific for $11 in case you want to buy one.
So this is
or the Exploratorium out in San Francisco, which is they're the people that had it put together by Westinghouse.
Now, what does this have to do with your technology?
It shows the cycling or the frequency, radio frequency. It starts at say 0 cycles per second and moves up through the various frequencies into the gigahertz, and then it goes on even beyond that. So Farnsworth, for example,